Imagine a man who, at the age of just 25, decided he would conquer the entire world. A man who marched his army from the cold steppes of Mongolia all the way to the borders of Europe and the gates of China. A man who once said, "If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you." This is Genghis Khan, the greatest conqueror or the greatest monster in all of human history. Today, we find out the truth. Introduction. Welcome back to the channel, where we dive deep into the stories that history books are afraid to tell. Today's story begins in 1162 AD, in a small tent on the Mongolian steppe, where a baby boy was born, clutching a blood clot in his fist. His mother took it as a sign of destiny. She named him Temujin. Nobody could have guessed that this child, born into poverty, abandoned by his tribe, sold into slavery, would one day rule over the largest contiguous empire the world has ever seen. This is the story of how Temujin became Genghis Khan. A brutal childhood. Temujin's childhood was nothing short of a nightmare. When he was just 9 years old, his father was poisoned by a rival tribe. Overnight, the family went from respected nobility to desperate. Outcasts. The tribe abandoned them. His mother was left alone with several young children, surviving in the Mongolian wilderness by eating roots and berries. And it only got worse. When Temujin was a young teenager, he was captured by enemies and forced to wear a heavy wooden collar around his neck as a slave. But here's the thing about Temujin. He didn't break. He escaped. He adapted. He learned. And slowly, very slowly, he began building something. Rise to power. Temujin started by reuniting old friends and loyal followers. Then he defeated one rival tribe. Then another. Then another. He used a strategy that was revolutionary for the time. He didn't absorb the defeated tribe's nobles and keep their structure. Instead, he broke up the tribes entirely and mixed everyone together, creating total loyalty to him, not to bloodlines. By 1206, after decades of warfare and politics, something extraordinary happened. A great assembly, the Kurultai, was called on the banks of the Anon River. Every Mongolian chief, every warrior, every clan gathered, and together they gave one man a single title, Genghis Khan, universal ruler. Temujin was gone. Genghis Khan had arrived, and the world would never be the same. The conquests. What followed was the most extraordinary military campaign in human history. First came China. In 1211, Mongol armies breached the Great Wall, the very wall built to stop them, and began dismantling the Jin dynasty. Then came Central Asia, the Khwarezmian Empire, which covered modern-day Iran, Uzbekistan, and Afghanistan. And here's the story that explains Genghis Khan better than anything else. He initially sent a trade caravan to the Khwarezmian Sultan. He wanted commerce, not war. The Sultan had the merchants killed. Genghis Khan sent ambassadors to demand justice. The Sultan had them killed too. That was the moment the Sultan signed the death warrant for his entire civilization. Genghis Khan's response was so devastating that historians still struggle to describe it. The great cities of Samarkand, Bukhara, and Marv, some of the most beautiful and cultured cities on earth at that time, were reduced to rubble and ash. The dark side. And now we have to talk about the part that makes Genghis Khan one of the most controversial figures in history. The death toll. Historians estimate that the Mongol conquests killed somewhere between 20 to 40 million people. Some estimates go higher. To put that in perspective, that may have been 10% of the entire world's population at the time. When the Mongols finished with Iran, historians estimate that it took the region over 700 years to return to its pre-invasion population levels. They didn't just kill people. They destroyed irrigation systems, burned libraries, and wiped out centuries of accumulated knowledge. The Islamic Golden Age, one of the greatest periods of scientific and artistic achievement in human history, came to a sudden, violent end. There is no softening this. The scale of destruction was almost incomprehensible. The other side, but history is never that simple. And historians ask us to look at the full picture, because under Genghis Khan's rule, something remarkable happened. The Silk Road, the ancient trade route connecting Europe to China, became safer than it had ever been. Merchants could travel thousands of miles without fear of robbery or war. Trade flourished on a scale the world had never seen. Genghis Khan was also a pioneer of religious tolerance. In an age when wars were routinely fought over religion, he guaranteed freedom of worship to everyone in his empire, from Christians to Muslims to Buddhists. He built a meritocracy, one of the first the world had ever seen. It didn't matter what tribe you came from or what your father's name was. If you were skilled, loyal, and capable, you could rise to the highest levels of his empire. And one final, staggering fact: genetic scientists have estimated that approximately 0.5% of the world's male population, around 16 million men, are direct descendants of Genghis Khan. No other individual in history comes close to that number. Conclusion: so, was Genghis Khan a monster or a visionary? The honest answer is both. He was a product of brutal times who used brutality to create something that had never existed before. He destroyed civilizations and built new ones. He murdered millions and protected millions more. History rarely gives you simple villains or simple heroes. Genghis Khan is proof of that. What he gave us, above all else, is a question we still haven't fully answered. What does it cost to change the world? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Asterisk, if you found this video fascinating, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow. Subscribe so you don't miss our next video, where we explore how the mighty Ottoman Empire, after ruling the world for 600 years, suddenly collapsed overnight. Until then, see you in the next one.